Hi guys, and welcome to Teeling Whiskey Distillery. My name is James, and I am the Distillery Brand Ambassador here in Newmarket. And this is Teeling Whiskey Education 101, where we break down all aspects of production here in the distillery and link it to the liquid that's in your glass. What we looked at last week was the grains and the milling, and you can recap those videos on Instagram. But what we're going to be looking at today is lautering and fermentation. So what we have is our grist, our coarse barley kind of flour, but we want to extract all the sugars, the flavors and the characters of that grain and get it into the liquid. And this is where our lauter tun here comes in. We fill this up with our grist and we add in hot water around 60 to 70 degrees. And what happens over 4 to 6 hours is that rakes will mix all of that together and further break down the sugars and draw them out along with the flavors, the characters and the oils into the liquid. In the bottom of this lauter tun there's a false bottom floor. You can think of it as sort of a sieve. What happens is all of the liquid is allowed to drop through, and what's left behind is all of our grains. Now these grains are known as spent grain. They're useless to us. They have no sugar, very minimal flavour, and they don't smell too good. So what we're going to do with these is we'll actually give them to the agricultural industry so they can feed them to the animals. They're going to fertilise the fields to grow our barley later on in the process. But the aspect we're interested in is the wort, that rich, sugary, syrupy liquid we extracted from our lauter tun. This is what we're going to add yeast to convert into alcohol. So you can meet me over in the fermenters in 3, 2, 1. So I'm at the fermenters. So this is where we start making alcohol. What we've done is we've extracted all of the sugar, the flavour, the character, and what we're going to do is add yeast to it. So how yeast works is yeast wants to multiply, and how it multiplies is by eating up sugar. So it'll eat up that sugar, grow, and then eat up more sugar. The kind of consequence to this is that it produces carbon dioxide, but it also produces alcohol, and that's what we want. And that's why we focus so much on getting the sugar. So the main type of yeast you find in the distilling world is distiller's yeast. This is a powerful yeast. It does not care about flavour, it does not care about texture, it just cares about making alcohol. And we use a portion of this, but we don't want to focus on just pure yield. We want to look at flavour at every aspect of production. So that's why we experimented with over 15 different varieties of yeast, such as cider and champagne. And what we settled on was a strain of South African white wine yeast. And we add this in because along with making alcohol, this white wine yeast will give us lovely fruity esters that will come out in our distillate later off the pot still. So we put in the yeast and we let it ferment over 3 to 5 days. But we want to get flavour in. So we're quite unique in the way that we use 2 different varieties of fermenters. For the first day of its life, we put our batch into these organ pine fermenters. These are left open to the air. They can react with the natural yeast in the air, and they can react with the flavours of the previous batch that was in there. They're not as efficient, but in the distilling world, if you did everything perfectly, you wouldn't have flavour. It's all of the little inaccuracies, all of the inefficiencies that give you character, complexity and uniqueness. And what these will produce is a beer of sorts that is unique to our distillery. We'll then put back from the 2 of these fermenters into our stainless steel state-of-the-art fermenters in the back, where it'll sit for a further 3 days. And that's where we'll raise the ABV up to 8%. What comes off there is sort of like a beer, but what we call it a wash. And it's fruity, barley rich, and rich with alcohol. And it's a combination of the traditional and the modern styles that can give us a really unique product.